Hi, my name is Scarlett, and I'm an atheist and skeptic. Today, calendars. Those things we use to keep track of time. A construct for us humans to easily plan our activities, plan trips. We can make appointments. We can agree upon times to meet with friends. We know what days we work and which we have off. We know when holidays fall. And it took a while to find the calendar we're using. Our journey around the sun doesn't correspond to 365 perfect 24-hour days. No, the all-knowing designer god made it 365.24219 days. Catchy, right? And the sun and the moon are not quite synced up either. Even if we do call the divisions of our calendars months, doesn't quite add up to a month and our alignment isn't perfect. Lunar years are just 354.36707 days. So easy to remember. Early humans would have found the clues in the movements of the sun, moon, and stars to understand the rhythm of seasons, the movement of animals, and with agriculture, when to plant and harvest. Early calendars marked important holidays. That was their main use. And there is a certain amount of arbitrary in our calendar. How many days any given month has? When is the start of the year? What do we call the days and months? And because of this, there have been other calendars adopted, and still today, there are lots of other calendars out there for various purposes, like the Muslim lunar calendar, for example. It's why Ramadan falls at random times in the year. But overall, our Gregorian calendar is pretty good for what we want to do with it. Seasons stay aligned, solstices and equinoxes happen in the same window of time from year to year, and we know when we're going to do stuff. But if your end times fantasy did not materialize on the date you thought your deity was telling you, the calendar must be to blame. So there's your blibbity blab. Let's see what's wrong in Rapture land.
They didn't just lie about religion. They rewrote time itself.
Ah, yes, they are always lying. They are so powerful they could rewrite time itself. Ha 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 ha. Lol. Who is they? Is this the usual evil Jewish international banker Freemason Bohemian Grove cabal? If you scratch any conspiracy, even flat Earth, it usually comes back to the Jews. And I did not have calendar conspiracies on my 2025 bingo card. I really need to up my Rapture adjacent conspiracy game. So, all right, what else did they do?
The calendar we follow, it's not Yahush's, it's Rome's.
This might come as a shock to you, but the calendar we use here in America was put into place by a pope who was, gasp in horrors, a Catholic, which is a variety of follower of Jesus and your God. And Rome at one point adopted Christianity and spread it around its empire. Do we need to have a whole history lesson here?
In 1582, Pope Gregory replaced the biblical calendar with his own. He shifted the start of the year to January.
Okay, good to know that you realize that it was a pope that put the calendar into place and not some evil cabal of they. So maybe you're one of those people that think that the Catholic Church itself is they or in with the demons or whatever.
But Exodus 12:2 says, "This month shall be the beginning of the months for you. It shall be the first month of the year to you."
So this is part of the Passover story, BT Dubs. I wonder if this lady observes Passover because according to this same chapter of Exodus, it is a lasting ordinance from the Lord to observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Unless we're just picking verses we think sound good.
That month is Abib. April. April 1st was once the true new year, until they mocked the ones who still followed it and called them fools.
Well, if the name fits. By the way, the origins of April Fool's Day are unclear, but it is likely not about Christians. Probably just one of those festivals to blow off steam and be crazy. But at this point, I think a little calendar info would be useful. First, although our current calendar is called the Gregorian calendar named after Pope Gregory XIII, who ordered it, who decided it should be implemented. He did not design it. Luigi Lilio did. So not like a cabal, just a guy who tried to get a good solar calendar for us and a pope who thought it was useful. Interesting, too, to read that countries slowly opted in, and it took almost 350 years to spread. So again, not like some cabal imposing its will, but people saying like, hey, here's a calendar that works. I do like that the Protestants were wary of the calendar because evil Catholics, am I right, might be trying to silence them, just like apparently this lady thinks, so nothing new under the sun, hey? And wow, wouldn't it have been great to silence some of them? Let's dream that dream. A moment of silence to dream that dream. Now, we ain't got time for that in this video. And of course, the reason the Gregorian calendar was adopted was because the Julian calendar, which preceded it, wasn't quite right, and the Julian replaced another calendar. And of course, the Julian calendar was not designed by Julius Caesar, even though it has his name, because, important people got other shit to do than sit up all night watching the stars and calculating the solar year. So that calendar was created by somebody named Sosigenes. Sosigenes, that's an interesting name. I should find out what that means. By the way, speaking of evil Roman things, the word calendar itself is from the Roman calendar, the calends, calende, the first of the Roman month when debts fell due. So maybe this woman would like to find a new word for calendar, since this one is so tainted and probably bears the demon's paw print or something like that.
That is where April Fool's Day comes from. Let that sink in.
Again, we don't know the exact origins of April Fool's Day, but yes, people listening to calendar conspiracies, let that sink in. Also, can this music be any more fucking dramatic?
Yo's calendar was a 364-day, 13-month system written in the stars. And you'll find that in 1 Enoch, chapters 72 to 82. But the church called that book forbidden.
The church? Which church? By the way, the book of Enoch wasn't forbidden. It's just apocryphal. That is not a part of the canon that these groups accept for their Bible, Torah, scriptural readings. For the Jews and Christians, by the way. And if you want to waste an afternoon, you can go online to various denominations' websites and find out why they think the book of Enoch is heretical. But the TLDR is this. For the Jews, they don't pay enough attention to Mosaic law. The emphasis is on Noah. And for Christians, Jesus is not even a mention. Enoch is referred to as the Son of Man and taken up bodily into heaven, like a Messiah. And the lore around angels is just not acceptable for them. Moving on.
Why? Because it exposes the truth. Daniel 7:25 warned us, "He shall think to change times and laws." That is exactly what happened. And if you need proof, look it up in the Book of Enoch, the Dead Sea Scrolls, even the ancient Ethiopian text. You can use the Internet Archives, Blue Letter Bible, or just ask Yahuwah to show you. The Spirit will guide you back. Because once you see this, you can't unsee it. The rhythm of this world is off for a reason. The remnant is waking up, and it's time to reset.
Can we stop with the music? It's a little much. I don't know what she means by the rhythm of the world being off. Does it clap on 1 and 3? And there is no way these fuckers are reading the Book of Enoch. It is pretty dense, boring shit. So let's have a look at it. And you can go yourself and go find the Book of Enoch. It's all online. I mean, I don't recommend you doing that unless, you can't fall asleep or something, but it's there. You can go do it. And I can see why they would like the beginning of it. It starts this way. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And he took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angels showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw. But not for this generation, but for a remote, which is for to come. Concerning the elect, I said, and took up my parable concerning them. I kind of think it needs an editor, but you can see tribulation and wicked being removed and everything like that. It's got some nice poetry after that. The Holy One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens, and all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. I imagine it sounds better than the original. Enoch's rapture fantasy continues, and the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame, and the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon him. And they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed. And he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his holy ones, to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly committed. Yeah, ungodliness and ungodly. Yeah, kind of need an editor for this one. I think there's a lot of ungodly going on here. But anyway, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. So this doesn't sound too different from some of these rapture talk Christians that we see today, dreaming about, fantasizing about the end times. This is kind of the same stuff, so you can see why they might like the book of Enoch, at least the beginning. Like I said, it's pretty turgid in a lot of parts. And if we turn our attention to the part that lays out the calendar, supposedly God's calendar, there are a few other oddities that I think that most Christians in the 21st century would not want to accept, because it means accepting things about the sun and moon that we know to be false. So in this chapter 72, we have the laying out of how the sun works, and this was all shown by Uriel, the holy angel, who was with Enoch, and who was the guide. And apparently Uriel took Enoch up and showed him all of this stuff. And what did Uriel show? All their laws exactly as they are, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world, and unto eternity, till the new creation is accomplished, with which dureth till eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven, and its setting in the western portals of the heaven. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the stars, and those whom they lead. So basically, we are talking about the earth as some kind of flat plane, and the sky has these portals or gates or windows or whatever you want to call them, and the sun comes in from one and sets in another, and I guess reappears magically somehow in the east again. It's not that we're a planet that is turning and revolving around the sun. No, this is a very ancient notion of the sun. And according to Enoch, the sun is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. And of course, if you were getting real wisdom from a real angel, that's not how you would describe the sun. This is more like some, ancient person's idea of what is going on. And also about the sun, it is the chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east. So again, this is just like the Greeks thought of Apollo dragging the sun across the sky, coming up again the next day. This isn't wisdom. So if you're going to want to change your calendar to the Enoch calendar and think this is God's true calendar, you have to think completely differently about our cosmology and what the Earth and Sun look like in reality. And for funsies, you can look at what the moon does too. And the moon also has a chariot which she rides, and it is driven by the wind as well. And light is given to her in definite measure. And of course, Enoch is trying to lay out how the sun and moon are different in the sky. They come in from different places. So you get this kind of line at the bottom: the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises, and the other half of her goes forth by a 7th part, and her whole circumference is empty without light. So there is some notion that sometimes the moon is full, has a whole body with it, and sometimes leave part of it behind, I guess. All this to say, like, don't waste your time on the Book of Enoch unless A, like I said, you're looking for something to put yourself to sleep because it's pretty boring, or B, you kind of want to know what ancient peoples thought. But I'll tell you what, other books are much, much better at getting at that. The Book of Enoch, just don't bother with it, really. Just leave it. There's no God's calendar. This is not wisdom, it's bullshit. So in summary and conclusion, I think the remnant should go back to sleep, or at least get off TikTok. So there's what I have for you this week. What did you notice about the video? Do you have any thoughts about calendars or what this person said or calendar conspiracies? Put it in the comments below. I love to read your comments. Always fun, and people always find things that I don't have time to say. I can't do it all in these videos, but your comments could complete that. And while you're down there, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff that Algorithmo and his consort Algorithma enjoy so that you can get lots of good YouTube recommendations and ads, unless you have the ad blocker. A lot of you have told me you have the ad blocker, and good for you. Get rid of those ads. We don't need them ads. And if you like what I do, you can buy me a coffee. Here are my cute kitties thinking you're buying me some kibble, because that's where their mind goes. And thank you to everyone who has bought me a coffee. It really is greatly appreciated, and I'm always touched that people decide to give me a little tip, and I love it. I love it. I buy coffee. I don't buy kibble. So I don't know what's next. There's so much over there, though, on the TikTok. There's just so much garbage to deal with, you know? So I'll find something, and whatever I find, you know, it's going to be stupid. Bye for now.